Hey everybody, I'm Robert Sean Detherow, and I'm a resident of Flagler County, Florida, and I want to talk to you about an incident that happened between me, the Flagler County Sheriffs, and my son. My family, we moved here a while back, and when my kids were in elementary school, and I'm sorry if the chainsaw annoys you, it's the sounds of progress here in Palm Coast, Flagler County. That's what we hear every day here. Anyways, my kids started elementary school. They went to Old Kings and then Matanzas High. We sponsored or adopted or fostered one kid, or probably four, but one of them, he was a football player and started doing lacrosse. And then my other son, he did lacrosse, and they lettered in lacrosse and football. They were good players, Chad Rawlings and Riley. They were awesome players. But what I want to talk to you about is that when I was moving here, after I'd moved here a little piece, I started going through a really nasty divorce. And in December of 2013, that was kind of the culmination of this divorce. And everything was happening. It was Christmas time, and I had my son Nicholas fly out from California. And he was out there, and he was acting really strange. I believed him to be on drugs at the time. I had been an expert in drug recognition as far as the objective symptoms of methamphetamine, so I kind of figured he was on that. It turns out later on he said that he was. But anyways, Nicholas, he conspired to kill me with another individual for monetary gain. And when he approached me, I had no idea what was going on. I had been cooking a turkey and the oven door had fallen off, and my son Jack was trying to put the oven door on. My son Hunter was leaving the room because he had on no shirt and he had on just shorts, and he was walking to his room. So he was going to his room to put on a shirt, and Nicholas came in the front door, and I said, "Hey Nick," and I saw his pants were down. I said, "I'm gonna go take a shower. Can you pull your pants up?" He was doing that saggy thing that I didn't care for, and I told him to pull him up. And then I turned around. He had looked a little strange in his eyes, and he went to go pick up the skateboard. I thought he was going to go ride it outside. I turned around to go take a shower, and he used the skateboard in the trucks to hit me in the head right here. Well, it caused me to collapse. He had figured out that if he killed me, then they were going to get some money somehow. He was on meth, so his logic wasn't there, and so I fell to the ground. And my other son saw me fall and realized I wasn't breathing, so started doing CPR. Nicholas at this point has experienced like, oh my God, I've actually done this, and he starts to feel remorse. Well, Jack tells me that he revives me, and then after that, all I knew is that I was going to take a shower. The next thing I know, I'm in handcuffs standing there, and I don't know exactly what's going on. And I realized that I'm in handcuffs, and the Flagler County Sheriffs are telling me, "Why don't you tell us what happened?" And I said, I realized that I'm in handcuffs, so instead I said, "I want to talk to an attorney, but I need medical help." So at that point, they get mad at me, and it's like, oh, contempt of cop, because I didn't want to tell them what happened. I really didn't know what happened. I thought there'd been an explosion. The oven door had come off, but it didn't really make sense because it's an electric stove. How could it have exploded, right? So I wasn't aware of what was going on, and then they were like, "Oh, you're under arrest then," and they called me a name and took me out there. And as I'm going out there, I see them, they're washing the skateboard off with a hose, and I looked at it, and one of the guys says, "No kid needs to see his skateboard covered in blood." Well, I didn't realize it was all my blood, and there hadn't been an explosion. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I was going to the doctor and I was in custody. So those are the two things I knew, so I knew to keep my mouth shut. But I kept saying I'm the victim, I'm the victim, I'm the victim. That's all I kept telling him. Do your job, I'm the victim. So as I kept telling them this, I get into a little room, and the nurse is going to come in and see me. They tell her I'm drunk and just I was a terror. I must have terrorized somebody or whatever. I overhear them. I've not been told, but they said I was brutalizing one of my small children, and another guy stopped me. And so now I'm hearing what they say is happening, and I'm like, oh God. Man, they're charging me with some serious stuff here. I better just keep telling them, look, they need to look at the evidence, because they'll see. And if they talk to the other kids that witnessed it, Riley was on the computer, Jack was sitting over there. I mean, other people saw it, so they know what Nick did, and they know he's been on drugs and acting weird. So they'll tell him, right? Well, they don't talk to any of those people. They don't call in one of those psychiatrists to talk to the children and get their statements. They don't do any of that. No, what they do is they put me in this little room, and one of the deputies who's sitting in there with me says, if I say I'm the victim one more time, he's going to slam me down on the ground. Well, there's no way that's going to happen because I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I know he's using verbal judo, okay? That's the force that you use with your tongue, so it's called verbal judo. So you tell people, I'm going to do this to you. It's a threat. You're not actually going to do it, but you tell them you're going to do it. It's a use of force, and it's absolutely understandable. But I'm the victim, and I want to get through to him. I'm not going to make any statements. I'm going to say I'm the victim over and over. You need to do your job, investigate. I'm the victim. And so that's what I'm able to come up with, because I have this head injury. It's a severe head injury. I am concussed. I am messed up. And so he says, if you say it one more time, I'm going to slam you on the ground. And I thought, no way. And I said, I'm the victim. And I screamed it out. Well, he grabbed me and he took me and he slammed my head down on the ground. He kept slamming it. And other deputies came in the room and he's telling me, he's yelling at me. And they came and got him off of me. And another deputy, he was in the room. He came in the room now, and he's a nicer guy. I actually know who this person is. I don't know if he remembers me, but I remember you. He was there when they undid the handcuffs, and then they handcuffed me to the rail, and then they drew my blood because, you know, I had to have been intoxicated, right? Well, there was no odor of alcohol because I wasn't drinking and I wasn't on drugs. There was an odor of blood for sure, and it was a confusing scene. That's no doubt, you know. Any kind of Jerry Springer stuff that goes on is usually confusing. In the police work that I did, there were usually convoluted cases. We worked in a very interesting area, in a very eclectic area. So our citizenry spoke different languages and had different accents. So a lot of the scenes were confusing and different customs and cultures. Well, ours wasn't. Ours was pretty simple if you go by that standard. But apparently, it's customary in Flagler County that if you speak up and say you're the victim and they don't like that the fact that you're undermining their investigation with the truth, they take you out and slam you against the ground. Well, he was removed, and I told the officer in there, I said, you know you need to report that. It's your obligation to report that. So I was given stitches in the front of my head for the skull. And if you look back at the scene photos and then you look at the photos afterwards, you'll see that there's a new injury in the booking photo. Gosh, how does that happen? You know, it's funny. We know how it happened, don't we? So after that, I'm taken to county jail. The next morning, they have me plead. I plead not guilty because I just find out that they're charging me with hitting a child or something. And I said not guilty. Well, to double down on it, the Flagler County Sheriff's says, no, we're going to up the charges to felony. So they have no substantiating evidence because no felony child abuse happened. What they're trying to cover up is the excessive use of force, and they're trying to cover up the fact that they failed at a what we would call in California an assault with a deadly weapon case, a 245. But it's an assault with a deadly weapon, and it's domestic violence. I mean, it's a straight felony. And you think about it, my son flees to California. So what we did is we had him deposed. I paid to have him deposed. I didn't. I had to pay back the person because I didn't have any money, but I paid to have him deposed, him and my other son, Jack. So they went under deposition. They were just nailed down, and we turned those tapes over to the Flagler County Sheriff's Department. So the evidence and proof that there had been a conspiracy to kill me, that he actually followed through with it, that he had committed that there was a co-conspirator that had not been arrested or contacted or detained ever. So my choices were to sue the Flagler County Sheriff's Department, to get my record expunged, and to get custody of my kids. I'm a praying man. I prayed to God on what to do. And this is what I feel God told me to do. God told me to raise your children, you'll get custody of them. So that's what I was told to do, raise my children. And I was like really a coward. I thought I should report it. I felt like I should report it, but I had reported to the one deputy, so I didn't know. So I was going to raise my children and worship God with all my heart, right? That's all I was going to do. And then try to introduce them to the Lord, because obviously our family had gone awry. So I did that. I eventually got a job at Flagler County for $11.57 an hour. I went to church. I humbled myself in front of the Lord. I said I was sorry, because I'd been a law enforcement officer full of pride and hubris, and no one can tell me about my investigations. At times I had been like that too, and so I asked for forgiveness, and I repented. I got my children to go ahead and they ended up finding the Lord, and see, that's the way this is real. I only do it in one take. So they found the Lord too. But here's the problem, is that the other day when they served a search warrant at my house in another failed investigation that they did, where the evidence clearly shows, in any manner of speaking, that two people were attacking one person, to double down on it, they charged with a felony, just like they did in my case. But see, my record was expunged, but I didn't sue them. So what I did was, I got my record expunged, I got custody of my kids, and I let it go. I forgave them. But me forgiving them, this is why people don't like Christians, because even though I forgave them, I still felt this was necessary to speak out. Because the other day, the person that I reported that brutality to me to was standing in my front yard, and I reported the same kind of violation. That Title 18, Section 242 thing going on, where like you do something under collar of authority, and I see that that's still the pervasive attitude, and I know that he didn't report the last incident. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's career, but I actually took a chainsaw class with one of the deputies that was there the night that deputy slammed my head and knew what happened. I was the park ranger, and I took a chainsaw class at Princess Place, and one of the deputies was my partner. You know who you are. You didn't remember me, but I remembered you. Just like I remembered you standing on my front lawn. We're not stupid. I let my kids grow up here, and they told me all sorts of stories about the high school cop. I was there one time and saw him slam this little boy. He must have been like 98 pounds, and he picked him up like he was on big time wrestling and slammed him down. I was a coward though. I felt like it's not my place. I'm retired. It's not me. I went around to police departments and told them why they were sick. That was my job. And here I am as a civilian in my own community, and I'm ignoring it because I was afraid. I'm not the only coward in this. Rick Staley knows what's going on, and he's chosen to go along with whatever it is. The old sheriff, Manfrey, if they're Cerberus and you cut the head off of it, the other ones will keep going with the same mentality until this head grows back. Sheriff Staley's just become another head of Cerberus. What we need to do is clean some house over there, and we need to get some good quality training. My background, training, and experience as a law enforcement professional tells me that they are sick and they need help, and they need our prayers. So let's start praying about it. Let's be honest about it, and let's stop hiding the truth. And if anybody wants to talk to me, anybody at all, they can come to my house and speak to me. That's it. All right. Or you can message me online. I'll just answer a few quick questions. All right. Hey, do me a favor, because I'm doing it. But love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. You never know, he might be the guy that got arrested falsely.